Today on the Topic Show, Don Lemon goes viral for saying that they should ban white men in the United States. Olivia Julianna continues to go viral as well for being Democrats' plan to win over the male voters, even though she is pro-choice, pro-BLM, pro-gay pride, but that is their plan. Democrat City Councilwoman says that the NYPD gang database is racist. Toyota Supra Final Edition auctioned off for over $200,000, and Haribo Coca-Cola gummies are being recalled. All of that and much, much more on The Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have a Toyota Supra selling for over $200,000, which is quite a pretty penny to say the least, because it usually costs like $65,000, but auctions and final editions are a crazy thing. This is brought to us thanks to Motor1.com. And a rare thing in the automobile part of the show, I do not need to give you a visual disclaimer because, to me, the new Supra looks kind of cool. Or I should say the old one is dying this year. Now, this is brought to us, again, thanks to Kyle Kennard, who's a writer at Motor1.com. And he says, quote, "Someone paid way too much for this final edition Supra. Sure, it's a limited edition version of Toyota's outgoing sports coupe, but this Supra's price stretched well past 6 figures. And here you can see that sexy looking Supra GR edition, which is the top. Well, this is also a limited edition. This is the track version. It looks awesome, except for that stupid license plate that they bolted on the front. I know it's regulation, even the European market, which is, or is that Japan? Hard to say. It's got the foreign license plate that's very thin, more rectangular, much more than those in America. Ours is a little bit fatter, like our people here. Now, diving into the specifics of the article, they say, quote, "Death and taxes may be life's only two certainties. But I think there's a third. People overpaying for limited edition sports cars. In this case, at least, it wasn't a boomer totem rolling down the auction block at Meekum. Nope, a Dutch enthusiast shelled out more than $200,000 for a Toyota Supra. Of course, this isn't any old Supra. It's a Toyota GR Supra A90 Final Edition, one of just 300 built worldwide. The total price after the extortion, the taxes paid in the Netherlands, oh, geez Louise, it's $190,000. I was going to say Netherlands. That's probably close enough to New Zealand. What kind of money do they use in the Hobbit? I'm only kidding, partially. It equates to about $260,000 in U.S. currency, which I was going to say, let's get that rear on the screen here. Again, a lot of people didn't like the new Supra, or, last Mark V edition, some people call it, because it is, made in a OEM factory and it's a BMW, but still, they put some Toyota logos on there and new styling. Now they said, quote, that likely to startle anyone who spent time on the GR Supra configurator here in the US, where the Toyota MSRP starts at $56,900 for the base. And they say, well, that's also with the straight 4 engine. Straight 6 is what you want for this. And stretches up to $67,950 for the US own market edition, Mark V Final Edition. However, the Dutch car in question is different gravy altogether. Interesting choice of words, this journalist. Now they say, quote, "As noted, the A90 Final Edition is limited to 300 units overall, but just 150 of those cars will make it to the EU region at that price point, which means Dutch buyer paid more than $100,000 more over MSRP to snack. Jeez Louise, to buy that? They say, worth it? Well, that's for the new owner to decide. The tax situation in the Netherlands accounts for a huge chunk of the premium, so it's unlikely any car in the A90 Final Edition price and efficiency bracket would have run up much cheaper. At the very least, we salute the incredible dedicated Supra fan. We look forward to the limited edition Supra rolling cost Meekum auction in another 30 years with 12 miles on the odometer and offering 12 times the price sold in 2025. They say death and taxes after all. Which, yeah, part of me, it sounds heartbreaking how many of these are being treated as investments, which, again, not investment advice. I have to clarify that because it's the United States, all that kind of regulation around, videos on the Rumble and the YouTube. But yeah, not financial advice. Personally, I think one of the dumbest things to do is buy a collector car in terms of building financial wealth, because pretty much every time in history you lose money on that. And even more often than not, you will not beat something like an index fund, the S&P 500. They had the GMC Cyclone, is a two-door SUV from the 90s that sold at auction for like $250,000 a couple months ago. And the owner paid like $38,000, something like that, new back in the 90s. And everyone thought, this guy's a genius. He made $250,000. No, he's not that smart, because if he took that same money and put in the S&P 500 index over the same time period, he would have made $750,000. That's also not having to worry about a garage to keep the car in. You gotta make sure it's protected. You have to have insurance on it. So again, I hope that the owner actually drives this. I would argue this beautiful piece of marvel of engineering, and hopefully you got one of the options with a stick shift. Again, it's one of those things where if I had more jingle in my pocket, I would have got a Mark V Supra. Obviously, once they have the stick shift option. And it's a fun little, BMW car. It's a coupe. Obviously, it's getting rarer and rarer these days. There's rumors that Toyota's going to come out with Mark VI. Maybe it'll finally be, made by Toyota. That'd be kind of nice, But yeah, the craziness of auctions and scarcity. Granted, again, this is just it looks slightly cooler than the regular Supra. I'll give them that. But yeah, final editions, they are a thing in and of itself. But let me know, do you think this owner will drive it maybe 12 miles or barely any, and they'll treat it as an investment mechanism to try auction off in a couple of decades and make some more money? Or do you think they'll actually take to the track and drive it and have fun as, the engineers actually want us to? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the cultural part of our podcast, you have Don Lemon suggesting that they should ban white men in the United States, which is hilariously ironic considered he actually, spoiler alert, he married a white guy years ago. Now, this is brought to us thanks to End Wokeness on X. Oh, I'm sorry, I should put a visual disclaimer. Now you have to see Don Lemon, which, well, that might be a coin flip in terms of who's more visually, viscerally disgusting, him or I. I'll let the comment section below decide. Now, without too much further ado, so only about 31 seconds of insufferability. Looks like he is talking to someone by the name of Feeling Good Ginger, which, at least good marketing, he is in fact a ginger. But here's Don Lemon.
Remember he had the Muslim ban? Yes. Yep. And I said, well, why isn't anybody trying to ban white guys from this country? And you would have thought that I had, cut off, a left, what, or I had taken their firstborn kid or whatever for telling the truth and what the statistics were showing with the FBI.
Oh, wait, serious? Yeah, he's not doing stand-up, folks. He's actually serious.
FBI data. Why do you think that these white dudes, these white guys are so triggered? Why are they such snowflakes and they claim other people are?
Yeah, statistically speaking, going by the FBI crime statistics, white guys account for definitely not the majority of the crime in the United States. Especially when it comes to violent crime. You can argue into the nuances of financial crime. That's a whole other thing in and of itself. Usually not what people are referencing when it comes to, physical altercations and, those types of things. And maybe this didn't go as far as I thought, just because everyone's used to Don Lemon being as mentally vacuous as an actual lemon in and of itself. Which, again, the fact that he doesn't have a logo with a lemon or lean into the meme, or some might call it the meme, is just a lost opportunity. Plus, it's a ridiculous name, Lemon. It's almost as dumb as having a name like Topping. Oh, wait, I partially digressed. Now, this did get about 400,000 views and 3.3 thousand likes, with one of the first comments coming to us thanks to Mr. Gunther Eagleman. Now, he says, quote, Don Lemon is a racist POS, getting 1.5 thousand likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, the FBI statistics say black guys commit a disproportionate amount of crime is far greater than crimes of white guys. Also, Don Lemon is married to a white guy, getting 774 likes. We do have the Gas Stove, our favorite contrarian and one of the best social media folks out there, because he gets usually the greatest number of replies. Now, the Gas Stove, I should say the alleged Gas Stove, I don't think gas stoves can type. Though, actually, no, smart gas phones or gas stoves these days, most appliances seem to actually use most of your data and bandwidth to communicate with China, but cybersecurity concerns for another time. The Gas Stove says, quote, Don Lemon nailed it. White supremacy is getting out of hand and taking many black lives. George Floyd is a great example where the white police officer literally brutally shot him just because he was black. Getting 36 likes, which, yeah, I don't know how they got 36 likes. Come on, X, load. Okay. Remedy responded saying, quote, it was crazy, as if the first 16 shots weren't bad enough, but the actual reload and empty the full second mag in George Floyd was wild, getting 7 likes. The Gas Stove says, I think he was 6 times, not 16, getting 4 likes, which Again, George Floyd famously did not die from being shot. He was taking copious amounts or literally deadly amounts of fentanyl. And yeah, he's also a career criminal, drug user, and most famously robbed a pregnant woman at gunpoint. Let's see. Dave says, LL, oh my God, you are so funny. Let's not forget that all the blacks Kyle Rittenhouse shot, like they were saying it was 3 black guys getting 6 likes, which, 7 likes going up like a stock. Which, yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse famously, I mean, people thought that, but if you actually, looked into it for more than 0.8 of a second, yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse, he, in self-defense, shot 3 white guys. A couple of which were actually people who abused women and children, which many people would say, and again, it's in self-defense, so he's, proven not guilty in the courts. But, yeah, those are the type of people who are at those riots. Now, you also have, I'm trying to pronounce things properly, but I don't think I'll get it this time, Ligwa Selimango, Mogo, I was going to say, it's the number 1 comment in terms of people who respond to him. Now, he says, quote, if white guys were consistently topping the charts, A+ for a term right there, a little biased, of course, for mass shootings and domestic terror, maybe Don Lemon wouldn't have a point. Y'all mad at the mirror, not the message. Using some Texas words, he's also known as a code wizard. Contrarian, I'll follow him. They got 16 likes, and I don't know why X is slow to respond or slow to load here. It's one of those cliche things where, I work in tech. Everyone always wants to blame the network as kind of a cliche in IT. Like, oh, the network is slow. Oh, thank God for modern network diagnostic tools, where it's easy to just show, yeah, it is in fact not the network. But yeah, I always do network analysis before I actually record the shows. And I, have pretty good connectivity, really good enterprise, good connectivity. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with X. Now, Swamp Fox Adjacent says, quote, your desperate cherry picking is noted. Now do overall numbers. I'll get you started. 1352, getting 75 likes. Dr. Meme Star says black murder way more people per capita than whites, and it isn't even close, getting 79 likes. Someone responded simply with Don Lemon and his husband, getting 14 likes. Now going back to the main comment section, Larry Pill Memes says, quote, isn't he married to one of them? And there's a picture of Don Lemon with his husband. And it's, yeah, Don Lemon getting married, I guess, in 2024, getting 173 likes. You have the Patriot Oasis saying, quote, because white people are the problem. And this is what fast food establishment is this? So you have a gal wearing, ridiculous, I don't know, a lot of ladies do this for some stupid reason. They're wearing sweatpants in public. We used to suit up to go on airplanes, folks. Remember that? I think I'm the only person I've ever seen that actually wears a suit in the Walmart. Granted, I usually do it because I'm shopping after a customer meeting and, time optimization, but still. You have a gal with sweatpants walking into a store. Can't really tell what the store is. We got to dine. Whoa. So she makes some hand gestures and she got a good right hook. She's assaulting a man who's also wearing sweatpants. Assaulted him to the ground. It's like a mall food court. And the crazy thing is, he'll probably end up going in jail because, again, double standard in the United States, even though she assaulted him first. That got 103 likes. And I guess, they didn't mention the quote or the text of that post from Patriot Oasis, but they were African-American in the video there. Scrolling down more and more. You have what NX America says, when it comes to domestic terrorism, no one does it like a Democrat. Getting 34 likes and having a meme of one of the shitties that lit itself on fire. Let's see. Pat says, quote, Don Lemon is just an actor, a terrible one, but an actor nevertheless. Here he's pictured with his husband, who, again, is a tall white guy, getting 24 likes. The only question is, how many people actually watch Don Lemon, and is his social media viable in terms of, apparently he's making a living on that, or most likely living off life savings. Can't tell, is that Don Lemon with Fauci, or is that on DeGeneres? I can't tell the difference. That got 2 likes, though. Maybe in the comments, who is who. Again, Don Lemon somehow still culturally relevant. He wore a suit, or he suits up, so he does one good thing right, or one smart thing. Pretty low bar, but let me know, how much longer do you think Don Lemon will be culturally relevant? Or is he already just gone and we're just making fun of him at this point? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have Olivia Julianna continuing to go viral. She is Democrats' only hope, they say. This is brought to us thanks to Lives of TikTok. Oh, I'm sorry. I should put a visual disclaimer on the screen because now you can see Olivia. Now, Liv's TikTok says, quote, "This is Republicans' biggest nightmare. How will we ever recover from this?" Oh, geez Louise. And there's Olivia right there.
As the saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
It's a poor choice of metaphor since she is morbidly obese and has as many chins as Peter Griffin. Though again, many people would probably argue that she is more attractive than myself, perhaps. So at least I exercise daily and can fit through a door. But yeah, this is Democrats' plan to win over the male vote, where this gal is also famously pro-BLM, she's pro-choice, she's pro-gay marriage, and yeah, a lot, again, I'd say not every guy, but a lot of guys are not into those types of things, especially Republican guys. So that's their plan to win over the male vote. I was going to say, there's a picture of her with Nancy Pelosi. Dear God. In comparison, Pelosi actually, I'm almost befuddled. Let me know in the comments. In this photo with Olivia and Nancy Pelosi, who is more attractive? That might be oh gosh, that's a rough question. Then you have her, as well as Jasmine Crockett. Yeah. And they think this is going to win over the male vote. Someone who has the antithesis ideology of men, as well as the figure of men that men desire. I'd say on average, again, there's, a lot of guys are into a lot of different things, but again, when it comes to averages, an overwhelming majority of men will not find her attractive. And this went pretty well. I got about 988,000 views and 14,000 likes. Now, Clown World, I haven't seen him in a while, says, quote, "Holy shit, she's huge," getting 483 likes. Gunther Eagleman simply says, quote, "She is a big nightmare," getting 326 likes. We do have the gas stove yet again being our favorite contrarian, saying, quote, "MAGA hates empowering women with large bodies. They're large body phobic," getting 33 likes. And I don't know what is going on. I don't know if they're under, what's going on with the network over at X. I'll try reloading again. Welcome. Well, geez Louise. Let me try pulling up on the screen here. Something went wrong. Good job, Elon. Well, apologies for technical difficulties. But can I be too upset when things go bad in IT? Because if IT is perfectly all the time, I wouldn't have a job. It'll be interesting to see if, again, this is Democrats' idea to win over the male vote, which, again, you look at the analysis of where did they lose the most in terms of votes migrating from people who voted Democrat, then going to Republican last election. A lot of them were the guys, an overwhelming amount, in fact. So, I don't see how this has a snowball's chance in hell in terms of winning guys over. Because, again, I mean, it's not the ideology that most guys want to hear or agree with. And, again, a lot of humans, I mean, you may make quick judgments just off the, first impressions or just, judging a book by its cover. It's one of those things where it's kind of human nature, many people might argue. I just don't see her winning over any hearts and minds. It'll be interesting to see how much they spend on her, because again, she's probably going to be a consultant and pay people for their work. But I just think that'll be one of the worst ROIs in Democrat Party history. But as always, let me know in the comments because it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Democrat city councilman saying that the NYPD gang database is racist, which there's more people who want to erase history in true 1984 fashion, one of the best books of all time. This is also brought to us thanks to End Wokeness. And he says, quote, "City Councilwoman Athena Stevens asked NYPD to delete its gang database because racism." And it's about 46 seconds of insufferability, but we shall get through it together. Well, probably, no promises. At least you did dress up for it.
And just the last thing, this isn't a question, this is a comment. I know the police's feelings on the gang database and how, they feel that it can be improved. I'm just always gonna stand on the side of things cannot be fixed when it already comes with a broken system. A broken clock could be right twice a day, and things like that just have to go because it stems from racism. And I know that you feel very differently, but that's just not going to change it. And I know it's in your testimony. I was not going to bring it up, but because you brought it up, I'm going to bring it up. And so I know we have conversations coming up to talk about how you feel about it, I feel about it, but I just have to say it because you brought it up, and so I just brought it up. So that's it. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, and again, you do have some areas in the United States where they're rewriting history, they're rewriting definitions of, crimes, erasing some crimes. But I don't think that's working for them long term. Though, wait a minute. Are leftist cities usually safe, great places to live? Oh, wait, they are not. Now, this went moderately viral. Got about 400,000 views and 10,000 likes. Now, one of the first ones comes from Gigi claiming that Athena Stevens is a Christian woman with a lot of empathy, which I can understand. I should clarify, nearly everyone deserves a second chance. Because let's be honest, there's some crimes that I think are against humanity. You don't deserve a second chance. But no, she's, I did a little quick research on her. She's, obviously she's a Democrat. And yeah, you can give someone a second chance and, also acknowledge there's probably a high propensity that this individual will commit another crime again. Again, I'm not saying all crimes are equal. I mean, some are more severe than others, obviously. But yeah, she also got 118 comments, but it's not loading for some weird reason. The undercurrent says, quote, "Oh yeah, let's delete the gang database because feelings. Next up, fire alarms are discriminatory to smoke. Clap if you lost the plot entirely." Gained 323 likes. Jamie's says, quote, "Typical leftist nonsense. Deleting the gang database won't make crime disappear. It just makes it harder to catch the criminals. Stevens is prioritizing wokeness over public safety, endangering law-abiding citizens. This is why places and cities like New York City are crumbling under soft crime." Gained 599 likes, which, yep, exactly. David Santa Clara says, quote, "Can we just admit the melting pot experiment failed and get the hell away from these people?" Getting 541 likes. Well, I would also argue, well, I think in many areas the melting pot, wow, can't even speak today. Click that subscribe button. It might help with my speaking ineptitudes. When I first started the show, I stumbled over my words worse than Joe Biden trying to climb upstairs and spoke even faster than Ben Shapiro. But as I slowly but surely gain more subscribers, I've been better at speaking. Some might argue it's just a modicum improvement. Barely anything in it all, statistically speaking, though, I would argue still an improvement. So click that button. I greatly appreciate it. And yeah, I definitely disagree with Dave Santa Clara in terms of, I would argue that American experiment is awesome. And it really is just these shitties, or these cities as people properly pronounce it. I mean, you look at people in the country, I mean, shoot, my neighborhood, again, this anecdotal, good old DFW, but my neighborhood is pretty diverse in terms of, countries and race. In terms of ideology, pretty similar, and even more importantly, our values are very consistent. Again, I think it's just cities are just always hellholes. Again, it blows my mind that people pay a premium to live in a downtown area when it's a pain to park. You have to pay to park, which I find abhorrent. But you also have crime all the time, huge government expenses, huge taxes. Just, I would never live in a city. You couldn't pay me. But that did get 541 likes. Punished MF says, "An orange Tugan in human clothing." I don't know what that is. Star Wars, getting 449 likes. Dogan says, quote, "Who play the race card all the time?" Getting 44 likes. The conservative alternative says, quote, "Statistics are super racist. Quick, someone distract the public from the basic facts." And here you can see a chart in which they note the crime statistics on, black on white versus black on Hispanic versus white on black versus white on Hispanic. They have Hispanic on white, all the different ones. And they show the smallest, or one of the smallest ones being white on black, statistically speaking, but the camera is only showing that one bar. Got 142 likes. Scrolling down more and more. A lot of memes. Tommy Crane says, quote, "Is she saying that blacks are the only race in the gangs, are the database? She's the ignorant racist in the room," getting 16 likes. Voice of Sanity says, quote, "A fine example of why we need to stop electing illiterate fools at the local levels too," getting 18 likes. That is one of the biggest issues in the United States is people not voting on a local level. The presidential election gets obviously a lot of headlines, a lot of attention. I mean, it's quite literally $1 billion race. But in terms of local elections, there's a huge impact on your life, and it's mostly in terms of governance on a local level. And geez Louise, it is amazing how many people don't get off their keysters and just take a couple minutes to go vote. And hopefully they take a couple of more minutes to actually have an educated vote. I can't help but feel it's even more rare in the United States these days. I was scrolling down more and more. Ben from Tax to Death says, quote, "Does race matter for gang member database? No, not really in my opinion. Maybe it was. In 2025, race is an identifier that is a fact. It's only about race when it makes you about race. I can also empathize with her. She probably has faced some real racist people." Getting 16 likes. Thomas Huck has a picture of a credit card that's been photoshopped to say race card, getting 3 likes. Let's see. Rodfather says, quote, "They want crime and civil breakdown throughout America. It's obvious that they want this constitutional republic burned to the ground and communist China-style government installed." Getting 10 likes, which, It's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities. Senior Patriot says, quote, claiming it is racist, Athena Stevens wants to cover up the gang database. This is ridiculous. These figures are factual, not racist. Gained 12 likes. Yeah, a couple of people doing the cliche memes are going around talking about black fatigue. Never seen this one before. Oddly reminiscent of my childhood is the Cartoon Network logo, however, has been rearranged in different, well, I guess different letters. It says F you know, which I'm pretty sure that's the same like trademarked font, or it's the same font. And it kind of breaks my heart that they recently closed the studios for that. What used to be a glorious company. But yep, yet another reason not to live in those leftist hellholes. I mean, we saw this a couple years ago when, you know, they changed the definition of crimes in places like San Francisco, and they also did not report them to the FBI, so those crime statistics actually looked a little bit more favorable in their more favorable for them. But let me know thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Haribo candy being recalled because, whoops, it has some naughty stuff in it. Now, this is brought to us thanks to CNN Business, which somehow is still in business. A statistical anomaly. I think I'm like one of 10 people who check the website for the business news, just so I can get a more rounded opinion about things. I like to check all the news sources. Now, this is credited thanks to Izzy. That sounds like a band member, but nevertheless, the writer is Izzy Ronald. He says, quote, Haribo recalls some of the products in the Netherlands after cannabis found in candy. Whoops. There you can see their iconic logo with the little funny looking teddy bear on there. Now, they say, quote, Haribo is recalling bags of fizzy cola bottles in the Netherlands after cannabis was found in them. Authorities began investigating when several people, including children, became unwell after eating the candy from the 1 kilo, this is America, so 2.2 pounds, of Haribo candy cola fizz. The Netherlands Food and Consumer Product Safety Authority told CNN. Samples were taken from the cola bottles recovered from the product and found it was laced with cannabis, adding that the Dutch police are now investigating how the candy became contaminated. And the Dutch police says, quote, how the cannabis ended up in the sweets is still unknown. Unquote. They say though a statement was issued by NVWA, Haribo said it was recalling bags with the best before date of January 2026 and warned consumers not to eat the candy. It said the measure was precautionary as only 3 bags were found to be contaminated as of Thursday. The recall is limited to, quote, the specific product and batch in the Netherlands, with products in other countries unaffected, the German confectionery giant told CNN. The company is, quote, working closely with authorities to support their investigation and establish the facts around the contamination, unquote. Incidents of the candy becoming contaminated with illegal drugs is not uncommon, though they rarely involve commercial products. In 2023, more than 60 elementary school students were hospitalized in Jamaica after unknowingly eating cannabis-laced candy. Now, they say that the same year, 2 people were arrested and charged when 7 Virginia elementary school students ate gummy bears from a plastic bag with fentanyl residue inside. Now, they also know in 2019, Pennsylvania police warned parents after finding packets of the THC-laced edibles, making them to look like Nerds rope candy. I don't think that's been popular since I was a kid. That's still candy though, apparently. Now, it's especially frustrating. I can't imagine the PR team at Haribo, because yeah, at the end of the day, even if it's just a rogue employee, it's your giant logo on it. And when I think of their products, I mean, shoot, what decade did they have this? This is I mean, if you look at who buys this stuff and who consumes it, I count the things overwhelmingly, the youth and kids who like these little gummy candies and have, adult substances inside, tarnishing the brand. And again, thankfully, it sounds like they're kind of ahead of the situation in terms of the severity. Thankfully, no one's passed away or no one's been severely hurt from it. So they're ahead of the situation in that regard, but it's going to cost them a pretty penny to, literally take these all off all the store shelves. Usually have to buy them back from the brick and mortar stores that are sourcing them or distributors. So it's a little bit of a logistic nightmare. But yeah, not great news for Haribo. I'm not sure who's in charge of the quality assurance department. And again, maybe it was, someone who went rogue and, did the dirty deed and made it look like it was factory sealed. I mean, or who knows, maybe it was at the factory. But gotta say, Haribo had their name in the headlines. Gotta say that's certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone, everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.